Hello guys, welcome to my channel LearnTech. This is Sandeep Kohl here. Hope all of you are doing good. So today's video which I am going to take is on BMC Discovery. As you can see on my console, I have logged into BMC Discovery. So today we will see a very interesting aspect of BMC Discovery. Two things which we will see today. So let me first of all go to the setting and show you what we will be able discussing today. So you can see here, this is all the options available for BMC Discovery. We will see them one by one, but the main important, you know, um, features of BMC ADDM, that's what we will see. So we will see today, what we will understand today is discovery consolidation and cluster management. First, we will see what is discovery consolidation, and then we will go on to the cluster management. Now, people who are not aware about this, consolidation, the normal terminologies, consolidation also means that you can consolidate something at one place and then you can give it to someone. It can be a report, it can be data, it can be anything. So the same concept works in ADDM or BMC discovery. So it refers to a centralization of our discovery. We know that in multi-layer or robust organizations, there are different departments, different sections, different geographical locations, which are restricted to one another. So in that case, it becomes very difficult for us to have one discovery machine or one discovery server running the discovery for entire organization. Then there are also some security constraints, like if you go to Europe, the security policies and laws are different, but if you go to some other countries, then the laws and policies are a bit different. Now, to cater all this part, BMC has or discovery BMC discovery has a feature called discovery consolidation. So what we do as part of this discovery consolidation, we will have a centralized server, a centralized server, which we will call as consolidator. So here in the screen also you can see we have three options: standalone, scanner, and consolidator. Now we'll see them one by one. Standalone means that when you have one discovery server, when we have one discovery server which is maintaining all the um, which is doing all the discovery for the organization. So this will work for small scale industries, small scale organizations where you have less number of servers. There are no more geographical location, there are no much constraints, security is very less. There it will work. So here, all the discovery servers you install, they will by default be a standalone server. Then now, to define consolidation, we have to have a server can be designated as scanner or it can be designated as consolidator. Now, what is scanner and what is consolidator? So we know that if, for example, let's first of all understand why we need this, consolidation. So, as I said earlier, also that there are some, in organization there are some areas, some departments, some sections which are restricted by firewalls, which are restricted to each other. There's a communication, the communication which flows from one section to another section is also restricted. So in that case, our discovery server, single discovery server, cannot scan the entire network. So what we do, we have multiple, we define multiple, we get or we install multiple discovery servers. Then those discovery servers will cater to that particular area. For example, I have a discovery server which is which I have designated for a particular department or a particular IP range, I would say, or a particular section of the organization or a particular geographical locations. So what I can do, I can have scanner. I can divide my organization into multiple sections based on the restriction level firewalls, or the based on different their geographical locations. Then we will have scanners installed in each of these locations. So what these scanners will do, they will do their individual scanning. For example, if I have a discovery, an organization is, for example, three. Let me take this with an example. For example, that An organization has three sections, A, B, and C. So for A, I will have one scanner. For B, I will have another scanner, and for similarly for C, I will have another scanner. Then these scanners will scan the area which is designated to them. For example, the scanner A will only scan the area which falls under A location. Similarly, a B will do the similarly for the B location or B section. Then these all will be still discovery servers, but they will be called as scanners. So they will scan the entire area, they will discover the data, they will get the data into their network. And then what we will do, we will have a centralized server which will be considered as consolidator. So what we will do, we will have a consolidator server which will be set as a consolidator. Then we will that particular server, once it is set as a consolidator server, then it will serve as a centralized server where all the scanners will be connected to this consolidator, and then they will push the information, whatever discovery they have done of their own area, they will push this to the consolidator, and consolidator will consolidate all the information, and then in return we will get the discovery of the entire organization. So this is the basic concept, but how it is set up in discovery, that we will see. So let me go here, let me unset this as, so I'll show you from the scale. When you go from here directly from the admin perspective, we will see it. So you can see when you go here for consolidation, you can designate this as a scanning appliance or a consolidation appliance. If you set this as a consolidation appliance, it will by default set it, and it will give you a server set as consolidation device. You can directly unset it from here. It will give you this host name. It will give you this IP addresses. Okay. So this way we can designate this as consolidation. But to take this live example, I need multiple servers, which unfortunately I do not have. So I just am explaining you the concept in the same server itself. So ideally, when this is set as an discovery consolidator, then in some machine, if I go some other machine, there I will set this as scanner. For example, this is my another machine, which here I have set this as, here let me copy this. So this one I have set as consolidator. Then if I go here in the scanner, in the other discovery server, there I will set this as scanner, and here how to connect, what I need to do initially, I need to connect the scanner to the consolidator, which is this one. So I got the IP of this, then I will put here the IP, and then I will use the this consolidator username and password, which will be the system username for that, with which we access the discovery server, and then I will say connect with consolidator. Okay, once I click on this connect with consolidator, what it will do, it will, here you will be able to see this. I'll show you. So this is the basic view of when you define this system as a into consolidation, where you can see this view in the discovery. But let's go with the first part. This is what we have seen, that it can be a standalone. Then we can define a server as scanner. Initially we have to define a consolidator. So here you can see here, once the consolidation is defined, which we have seen, then I need to provide this information, the IP address, the username and password for the consolidator. Then what will happen in the scanner, it will look something like this. So you will have connected to this particular cluster or server, then you will have pending approval. Now the consolidator, when we will go to the consolidator view, which is here. So here the consolidator will basically approve this. So it will have this row here, which will say pending approval. Then on the actions, I will click on the actions and I will approve it or reject it. Once I approve it, then this particular consolidator will be connected to this scanner. Okay. So similarly, this particular this scanner will be connected to this consolidator. So this way we can define a consolidation view in our organization. Then once you get more scanners, you can connect them to the similarly you can connect them to the consolidators. Then scanners can be designated as you know as an discovery for the respective areas. They will take care of the respective areas discovery, and then they will, once the discovery is done, they will move the data to the consolidator, and then consolidator will give us an overview picture or the overall discovery of the entire organization. So this is the main aim of basically consolidation, doing a consolidation in uh, in BMC discovery. Now, there is one more concept that in the latest release of BMC Discovery, we have this BMC Discovery Outpost, which is also doing as which is also used for the scanning of certain areas. This concept was brought into the later versions. I think in the latest version itself it was brought into picture. But in so what we can do, we can also use the BMC Outpost as the scanner, so that we can be used as scanning the scanning the system. But there is one way, sorry, one area where we cannot do it. That is when you have this restricted policy network. So if you have a restricted system or a restricted network area, then in that case it cannot work, right? But otherwise it can be used as a scanner. Now it's not only that the locations or based on sections the scanning will help us. Sometimes in certain organizations you have a time frame. For example, you can only do discovery from midnight to morning 6 a.m. So then, in that case, also one server cannot cater the entire organization. For example, that organization is big, so in that case, it cannot discover the entire network from 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sorry, is 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Then in that case, what we do, we also do the consolidation. What we create one consolidator, and then we create scanners, and then that instead of scanning the multiple sections, they will scan the multiple IP ranges. So for example, from 1 to 100, I will scanner 1 will do the scanning. From 100 to or 101 to 200, then another scanner will do the scanning, and then they will consolidate this data and put this to the consolidator. So with this way, we can also achieve performance improvement by running the entire discovery in a single day, or maybe a day or two, which otherwise if we do it with one discovery server will take much time. So this is the main basically concept of consolidation. Now you can explore this more. It is like just I have given you a theoretical knowledge, but you can go into the system. But the concept is similar to what I have explained you, that how the consolidator and the scanner works. Now there is one more thing which we can use here in discovery, called cluster management. This is what we're also discussing that. Now what is cluster? Basically, cluster is like when you are grouping the servers. For example, you have a particular area where you want to basically do a group scan. Group scan means that you want to define certain clusters into the system where you will have a in a group, and that group will do a scanning of a particular area. For example, in this case, if you see here, this is a cluster management page. If I go to administration, then cluster management, if I have defined the cluster in my system, then it will be look something like this. For example, these are all the cluster members. This cluster has been defined, like the name of the cluster is harness cluster. You can name it as per your need. Then these are all the cluster members which have been added. Now in the clustering, we have this when you basically do the clustering, you have a main coordinator, which is basically doing the coordination for all the cluster members. So you define a for example, here if you can see here, this particular server or this particular discovery server is the coordinator. So this coordinator will be designated as a coordinator for this particular cluster, and it will have these members. So this basically helps us in grouping the you know this discovery. And for example, let me now maybe you are confused with cluster and consolidator. So I will just give a brief difference between the two. So now clustering means that this is basically used to manage the faults in the discovery. For example, if I have a scanner, and let's suppose due to some reasons the scanner is failed, so that means that particular area is not scanned now, because that scanner went down and I was not able to scan that area, but I am getting the data from other scanners. So this is a concept in, for example, in consolidation. Now, instead of one scanner, let me say I have three scanners in the same area, or I have two scanners in the same area, and then I have a I have designated this the main coordinator, one of the coordinator servers as, for example, let's take example in this screen. So this is my one server, and then I have these three scanners. Okay, what it will do, all these scanners will do the scanning. For example, if one of the server fails, then the other server which I designate as a failover server, this is an option when you define clustering, to take over from this particular scanner. Then that other scanner will do the scanning. That means it's a kind of a load balancing system where you are load balancing the scanning. So the other scanner will take the operation of scanning the area for the which was basically supposed to be done by the first scanner. Then it will consolidate it and give it to the coordinator. Then the coordinator will basically from that particular area, the coordinator will connect to the main consolidator server and will send the data. So you understand the concept. So initially we have consolidation where I have one centralized server, then I have multiple scanners given to multiple areas. Now if I bring clustering, then in those areas also I can have groups of scanners which are doing the scanning and also catering to the fault tolerance, which means that if any of the scanner fails, the other scanner will pick it, and then the coordinator will take the data and send it to the consolidator, which is the main centralized server. Now we can also have grouping in the consolidation. That is a vast concept. We'll not go to that, but this is just the basic difference between cluster management and consolidation. Now if you see, now if you want to create a cluster, you can directly go to this administration, then there you will be able to see it. So let's go here. Let me go to here to administration and showcase you the. So if I go here, you need to go here into cluster management. We cannot define it here because we need another server for this. For example, if I click on create cluster, so it will ask me for first is the one host, which is this one, coordinator address. Then it will ask me for the IP addresses. This is basically the members of this cluster, which we have seen in the PPT. So it's asking me for the members. So if I need to get the correct discovery members for the discovery to be designated as into cluster. For example, if I need to group certain 2-3 discovery servers, I need the exact address. So now this is the fault tolerance which I was talking about, that even if this fails, one of these scanner fails, still it will be able to do the entire scan. So here it's the same thing. You have to give it a cluster name. Then you have to just give an alias name if you want. Then I need to give the coordinator address. Then fault tolerance, if I need to set this. Then members I need to add for this cluster. Now I need to click on create, and it will create me the clustering. So how it will look like? It will look like something like this. Okay, so for example, this is the cluster name I have given, then coordinator address, then I have to give this is groups, the group servers, and then sorry, the group servers, and then when you create it, it will be added into the system. Then it will be these servers will be designated as part of a cluster or a group. then it will look something like this. Okay, you will be able to see it something like this. Then from this you can do multiple operations. You can shut down cluster, you can reboot cluster, it will reboot all the discovery machines, you can restart cluster services, you can enable maintenance mode. So these are all the maintenance or operational activities you can do into the cluster. For example, you can also disable the tolerance. You can also disable the fault tolerance for this. Now okay, where we do okay now you can also instead of creating a cluster, for example, you already defined a cluster. Now if you want to add a machine to the existing cluster, that also you can do. You have to go to the same page, just here you type the name IP or the name of that machine, host name, and then click on add. Then it will be added to the cluster. Similarly, we can also change the coordinator. So I can go to any of the machines from, for example, currently one machine is designated as coordinator. I can go to any of the machines and make them as coordinator, and then the it will take over as the coordinator. So these are other options you can do here in this cluster management. You can change the address of a machine. You can remove a machine from the cluster. You can revert a cluster member to standalone. That means you can revert back to the standalone system if you want to get it back to the standalone discovery. Similarly, you can remove a machine from the cluster. So if you want any machine to be removed, you can do that. And then also you can change the IP address of the machine of the cluster itself. So this is basically the clustering. I hope you have understood both consolidation and clustering. If you have any questions, you can let me know in comments, and I will try to answer it. But you can explore this more. There is more to it. You can explore both clustering and consolidation, and it's a very good feature of discovery, which helps you to cater to the robust organizations with different geographical locations with with security firewall or any other constraints. You can still do the discovery in that case. Okay, thank you.